feels so good to be back. The sun is out. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. I got my nice cup of coffee, and I'm ready to talk about some books with you. I've been on YouTube for about 2 years now, and I have never done a book haul video. Book haul videos and top 10 lists are pretty common on BookTube, and I haven't really done either. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do my very first official book haul video. So grab a cup of coffee, maybe some tea, and settle in, because this video, it's going to be a big one. And speaking of coffee, I have a lovely sponsorship. River Cow Coffee. It's cold brew coffee that you can make at home. And it's pretty simple. You grab a pouch from this bag, throw it in some water, let it brew overnight, and boom, you have cold brew coffee made at home. And it's perfect for those hot summer days. I have a link in the description that you can follow, as well as a discount code that I'll put somewhere right here. So go ahead, support River Cow, support a small business, and enjoy a good cup of coffee. All right, on to the actual book haul. Never done one of these things, so here we go. I barely have enough room to set my coffee. Wow, that is a lot of books. First things first, a little preface, a little context. I am not the biggest fan of the book haul. I see them all over the place. Every day, every week, they're getting posted. I think it's great that people are reading. That's the best thing you can do. Reading books. We need to read more. That's important. However, buying and collecting books in mass numbers, that's something entirely different. My issue with book hauls is I think it sets an example that is not entirely healthy. If you're not reading them, you're just collecting them. I just think we need to step back a little bit when it comes to the book haul. Book hauls aren't the worst thing to happen. No. I just think there should be a balance, some objectivity, some awareness where we just take a break from that and focus on the words in front of us and see that story all the way through. Now it's time for me to be a hypocrite and share with you all the books I was gifted and all the books I bought. Oh boy. If you don't know already, Lonesome Dove is my favorite book of all time. And for my birthday, my father-in-law gifted me the other 3 books by Larry McMurtry. We got the sequel to Lonesome Dove, Streets of Laredo, The First Adventures of Gus and Call, the heroes of Lonesome Dove, Dead Man's Walk, and then the final volume of the Lonesome Dove saga, Comanche Moon. Many of you have commented saying, hey, if you love Lonesome Dove so much, read the rest of the books. And I said, yeah, I will, but later. I want Lonesome Dove to stand alone, to stand on its own 2 feet, and I want to just savor it. I want to take some time away from those characters in that story. These 3 books will be waiting for me when I'm ready, and I can't wait to dive back into Larry McMurtry's writing style. What a wonderful, wonderful gift. Thank you, Dad. My father-in-law is an incredible listener, and he's quiet about it too. You talk about something you like or love, a hobby, a book, a movie, video game, he's listening and he's taking notes, because a birthday comes around, Christmas comes around, boom, you were surprised. What? How'd you know? How'd you know I wanted this? Anyways, my father-in-law yet again bought another book for us. This book was not for me. It's for my wife. A Parade of Horribles by Matt Dinniman. I think this is book 8 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. She loves Dungeon Crawler Carl. So whenever she finishes book 7, book 8 will be waiting for her. Nosferatu by Joe Hill. I bought this for myself a while back, and I am a big Stephen King fan. And I've heard here and there about this man, Joe Hill, that he potentially does horror and scary books better than his dad. So why not give this book a try? I've heard great things. So maybe when spooky season comes, I'll dive into this. I made a video a couple weeks ago sharing my hobbies, my non-reading hobbies. One of the hobbies is Dungeons and Dragons, this adventure tabletop game. And I haven't been the biggest fan of the modern iteration of Dungeons and Dragons, 5th edition. It's a little too heroic. Marvel superhero characters are a little too powerful. It's a bit much. So I've been studying the old school way of playing back in the 80s. And my research brought me to these two books by Jon Peterson, The Elusive Shift and Playing at the World, Volume 1. This one is about the invention of Dungeons and Dragons. This one is about how role-playing games forged their identity. I think it's one thing to have a hobby and enjoy it and love it. But then it's another thing to study that hobby, study the history of that hobby. And that's what these two books are about. I want to dive into the history, where it all started. How did D&D become what it is now? And what might have changed? And what we might have lost in the ongoing years of the hobby. One thing about owning and collecting books, you're not always going to love every book you read. And you're not always going to keep every book you own. So I think a couple weeks ago, I got rid of a massive stack of books, comics, D&D books, novels. I received quite a bit of store credit, which I will then use to purchase used books. And one of the used books I bought was a Pulitzer Prize winner, The Sympathizer. When it comes to books, or pretty much anything, I love doing research, diving on forums, comment sections, Reddit, seeing what books are commonly talked about or recommended, especially the Pulitzer Prize winner. Ever since reading Lonesome Dove, I've become fascinated by the badge, winner of the Pulitzer Prize. So I dove deep and looked at some of the most suggested or popular Pulitzer Prize winner books. And one of which was The Sympathizer. It'd be a fun life goal to have, to read every Pulitzer Prize winner in fiction. With how slow of a reader I am, I have no clue if I can even accomplish that. Now we're going to do a little shift here. Those were novels. Those were books. But one thing you might have not known. Last week, I went to Comic-Con in San Diego for the very first time. And I own a few comics. Not too much, not too little, just right. A nice little pile. Mainly Batman comics. Going into Comic-Con, I had 3 comics on my radar that I wanted to find and that I wanted to buy. One of which is probably the most famous comic book of all time. Over 2 million copies in print, an Eisner Award winner, a Hugo Award winner, Alan Moore, The Watchmen. I hear this is a masterpiece. And I was very happy to give my money to a small business and purchase this graphic novel. And I can't wait to dive into this. And another thing about buying books. Again, it's not a bad thing. I just think there needs to be a balance. But one thing about buying books, giving my money to a small business, I have no regret. It's a joy to give them my money, to support their business. I myself am a small business owner, and it's a wonderful thing to be supported and cared for by other people. So, anyways, Batman, A Death in the Family, as well as Batman Under the Red Hood. A couple years ago, I think it was around the time the new Batman film came out, I did some research. I looked up what are the essential comics, the essential graphic novels What's the proper reading order from year one to The Dark Knight Returns? And I pretty much have that essential reading order down. It's not that many. It's like 10 or 12 comics. However, 2 of the graphic novels I did not own, and now I do. And let me tell you, I believe graphic novels, comic books, are considered reading. Sure, it's different from an actual novel with words and chapters, but graphic novel? There's a story, there's words, there's effort and art. There's true thought and vision behind comic books. There is a lot that goes into making a comic book, a graphic novel, that I don't think we even consider or appreciate. Being at Comic-Con for 3 days, it's a lot. It's my first time and it was overwhelming, but it was a joy. And I got to go into panels and I got to listen to comic book writers and artists, collaborations. It's incredible. I even got to sit in on Frank Miller, an absolute legend when it comes to graphic novels and comic books. Hearing the love and passion they have with what they do, I can't help but buy more comics, support them. There are 2 artists that I absolutely love and adore. That's Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. They worked on 2 of my favorite comics of all time, The Long Halloween and Dark Victory. Masterpieces of Batman storytelling. And when I'm at Comic-Con, going from booth to booth, and I see Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, I can't help but get excited. So I had to buy Daredevil Yellow, Hulk Gray, Spider-Man Blue. Sure, a little excited, a little impulsive, but I'm thankful I did it. I have no guilt. By the way, it was my friend John who gifted me a free pass to Comic-Con. And what a joy it was to join him on that journey through the halls and various levels of Comic-Con, all the different rooms and people. It was a lot, but it was fun. And can't remember what day it was, but I eventually learned that Alan Moore not only did Watchmen, but he also did V for Vendetta. I had to. I had to buy V for Vendetta. It's one of my wife's favorite films, and why not? Like I mentioned, I was able to sit in on a panel with Frank Miller. Frank Miller is one of the greatest comic book storytellers of all time. He reinvented a handful of heroes, and I think he changed comics forever. He not only did Batman Year One, which is one of my favorite books of all time. Unbeknownst to me, he also did Daredevil, The Man Without Fear, and Daredevil Born Again. Again, I absolutely love Frank Miller's work. Hearing him talk about how he works and how comics used to be back then and how they changed, it inspired me to seek out more of his work. I was excited to learn that he did a lot more than just Batman. And last but not least, the final bit of my Batman collection, Batman Nightfall. The infamous moment when Bane breaks Batman's back and changes his life forever. I think it's incredible what comics do, how they tell a story, how they're organized, the artwork. I mean, just look at that. You're only limited to a certain amount of space and dialogue. So you have to choose your words wisely. You have to choose your visuals wisely. The writer isn't always the artist. They're working in tandem with an artist. So it's almost like a movie director and a cinematographer. There's this collective vision that comes together. And this is what we see, the final product of a comic book. Reading comics, I don't do it often, but it makes me feel like a kid again. And in between novels with words and no pictures. It's nice to take a break and read a comic book, read a graphic novel. You don't always have to be locked in to this emotionally deep, profound story like you do with a novel. Comic books can just be fun. However, there are many comics and graphic novels that are very grounded and human, have that emotional depth that we get from those words in normal chapter books. Well, that was my book haul. That is a lot of books. I'm gonna have to find some room for that. Even though I'm a slow reader and I can't always provide a book review or a reflection video on what I just read, and I can't do that every week, not even every month, but I can still talk about books and my love for them, my love for storytelling. Thank you for taking time out of your day to hang out with me, listen to me talk about books. This was awesome. And till next time.